I get
Mm-hmm.
some. Normally, you get more people watching it than you met, but we're live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Nice to meet you today. We're talking ABM, and here it's me, Stefan Repin, and I have a wonderful guest here, Victoria, who has been actually a great ABM specialist, a great ABM practitioner. She's one of the people who has been mentioned by Thomas Elainer's index around ABM. I really like the piece that she wrote. But I think it's best if she represents herself and she talks what does she do, what she passionate about, and then we'll kick off the conversation, her presentation. Welcome to the stage.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you a lot. I even loved your introduction, even more than mine. A bit more things to add about myself. So my name is Victoria. I'm into ABM, I think, for the last couple of years. I'm very passionate about this type of strategy. And for the last year, I'm leading the businesses in this area. The company that called Serenix. Here I am a co-founder and in charge of some marketing stuff and developing our business model in general. What we are doing in Drainix is helping SaaS businesses building and executing account-based strategies. So that's actually the main topic for us today. So I think we can start. Let me
Awesome.
check if I can share my screen. By the way, Stefan, feel free to interrupt me. Maybe you can, add your opinion.
Yeah, I will if there is going to be a
Mhm.
different school of thought or yeah,
Mhm.
just media. Don't
Let me know if you see my screen.
I can see a screen. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Let me do this slideshow. So let's begin. First of all, thank you everyone for watching this webinar. I think it will be very useful for you, very practical, and you will get some handy insights for your ABM strategy. Today we'll cover different type of topics. First of all, we'll dive into the meaning of IBM, what IBM is, different like myths around this term, and how IBM looks today in 2026. Then we'll have part two, where we dive into the typical use cases about how you can build your ABM strategy if you are sales-led growth businesses or PLG product. We'll dive into difference between these type of products and why ABM should be also treated differently. And part three is about building ABM strategy. We'll go, I think, superficially for today, but step by step about how you can build the strategy and what you need to pay attention to. So first of all, what IBM is. I decided to pick this topic for our presentation today, not because I'm very into history, but because there are different misconceptions and misleadings around this term. I remember the time when I was doing interviews and asking people, what do you know about IBM? How you use IBM? And believe me, different people are answering different, definitions on this term. So I decided also to shed the line on this and tell you about what is classic IBM. And I will use this term today specifically about, let me say, this old-fashioned way, right? And IBM in 2026, because here we have a lot of, changes, shifts, because this term and strategies, they are evolving. So first of all, people have been talking about this term, I think, more than 20 years ago, and now almost every marketer knows about it, and this became a standard part of our B2B marketing vocabulary. Uh, the main difference, the first one, is that the original model that used to be 10, 15 maybe years ago, it was largely manual and heavily resource intensive. That's why reason why we see here at the account list size up to 50 strategic accounts, or even it can be only one or two or three. The main trouble this time was that time that we have to do research, to find some signal that this account is ready to purchase. We need to collect data. We need to find some emails. We need to identify channel. And all of this took time. And to keep this kind of quality and our budget and resources at the good level, we were not able to treat a lot of accounts. Now everything is changes. There are myriad of tools you can use to make this process easier. So one of the biggest shifts, of course, is data. Now we have different data platforms, account scoring tools, enrichment infrastructure. We know that AI contributed a lot to this sphere. And now for us, identifying which account showing this or those buying intent, it's much easier, much faster, and I would say even much cheaper, because many years ago, to find this kind of intent data, you need to purchase, for example, expensive report. Now you have everything on your laptop using some of the well-known tools, right? So the second shift, as I said, is a scale, because now you can treat with the same quality more than 50 accounts, but we'll also cover the topic about the main mistakes to avoid to keep the great balance between the quality of data and how you processing these accounts. And also the third shift, I think, is approach. And this is more shift in our mindset, because many people are still thinking that ABM is something like a campaign that need to operate separately, and you are investing your budget locally. But now, from what I'm seeing, and that is actually a good motion, we have a lot of channels involved. We have ads, we have outbound, we have social selling, or we can even personalized content per persona or per account, and even more for SaaS businesses, we are also able to track a product signal. So everything is becoming connected. We are able to build sequences and some coordination about how our account is being nurtured. For example, when intent signal spies, we activate ads. Then we are engaging all the buyer community. Then sales get a signal, and we are now able to build all of this infrastructure. And personally, for me, that's something that can differentiate the account-based marketing as a strategy, but not as a separate tactics. Because I know that many people are saying we are using hiring signals, and we have, 200 companies that we want to reach out to. We call it account-based marketing. Yes, we have here some kind of intent component, but we don't have all of this structure. Of course, it requires time, it requires budgets, but it will eventually pay off when it's doing right. So let's move on. So just to sum up what hasn't changed. The core, I think, essentials and integral parts of IBM. The first, you're identifying the right accounts. It's not your dream clients list. So it doesn't mean that if you never work with enterprise company, it will be a very bad step, start doing IBM because you want to have enterprise clients. Usually IBM works well when you are identifying your list accounts, judging by revenue and this account can bring to your company, and what kind of level of confidence we have that this will happen, because it is not a volume game. We have a well-defined list of accounts, and we need to be sure about this and about money that we are investing. Can I continue? Yes.
Yeah, I have a few questions.
Yeah.
What do you, so could you talk more about how do you see the signal versus intent, or maybe you spoke about buying intent. How do you see, where do you find buy intent, and how do you understand it's actually a buying intent?
Also, each company will touch on the topic about signals in a further slides, but answering your questions, there's also different misconceptions between what does intent mean. Today, I'll use this term to to explain what are different types of intent signals that our audience are used to understand what they are. But the thing is, when we are talking about intent signals, even especially if we are building a scoring model, there are several types, like a first party signal, second party, and third party.
Yeah.
The most important ones, especially if we are talking about SaaS businesses, are those that you have from your own ecosystem. So first, the main, I think, intent signal, if you are product companies, is your product usage. For example, when the user hits the limit of the current plan, he clicks the button to upgrade, and of course it's locked. You're able to track the signals. There are different tools, or you can also set it up with your IT team. Personally, for me, that's the highest type of intent you have. Also, any type of what can be also first party intent, if that's sales-led growth company with no ability to track, for example, this kind of signals. You're leading the webinar, right? And you're inviting your audience to this webinar, this key account, and if they are attending this webinar, and this is topic about how you can help them solve their problems, that is also a high level intent. If we are talking about, for example, hiring signals, we can say that it's intent, but it's more, like a hypothetical level. Because I'm, for example, the SaaS tools that help project managers facilitate their operation process, let it be. And I see that this type of company, they are hiring for head of operations. Do they have intent to purchase my tool? I don't know. But for me, it can be the buying signals to learn more what's inside this account. It can be a good entry point when they are hired to leadership that is in our buyer committee, just to have a chat, especially for PLG model. We'll also talk about this later. We can a bit, down the bar about what we can mean by buying signals. Because if we, for example, limit ourselves just with first party signals, sometimes it might be not enough. So I would recommend to work with all of them and test where invested budgets in monitoring and processing this type of intent pays off for us. If I answered your question.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. Okay. Very
Okay.
comprehensively. Okay. Let's go to the part where we talk about what hasn't changed. All right.
Yeah. So that's a fundamental part. This hasn't changed. I know that it's kind of theory, and this can be a bit boring, but believe me that if you don't understand why this matters for your strategy, you cannot go farther. What you need to have, you need to understand that we are identifying the right accounts based by their revenue potential. We need to know who our buying committee are, not just decision maker of user, but especially for enterprise company, the whole buyer committee. We will engage with relevance and timing, as we mentioned, intent signals, and measurement is important part to understand whether we are going with the right direction. And also, what hasn't changed is the typical mistakes that companies are doing. They don't give accounts enough time to warm up. Sometimes, if this is an enterprise account, for example, we see they are hiring this mentioned like head of operations, and we understand, okay, let's bump this account with our cold, not a cold, we call it warm outbound, and we will see great results. It doesn't work like this in IBM. So please don't skip awareness stage. Data quality, of course, if we are working with key accounts,
How
that
do you,
is.
sorry, I have a question. How do you
Yeah.
define that an account has warmed up?
We do this with help of lead scoring. I think that that will be one of the topics that we'll cover in other webinars. But for each company, you are able to develop your personal scoring model. For example, we have 7 types of intent signals: our engagement with ads, clicks on our ads, when they interacted with our product, and I don't know, liked posts on social media. And we attribute each of these intent signals score 10, score 12, I don't know, score 20. And you're monitoring these signals per persona level, right? And also per account level, if you have this kind of intent, like a company's updates on the website, let it be. And what you are doing, you are testing what should be the accumulated number of these intents from all buyer committees that is included into your campaign. That is warmed well enough for us to start a conversation. Of course, if you see that this company want to book a demo, you can give this plus 100 score, and if they reached this score, the sales team tries to interact with them somehow. So the main logic is calculating this by mass. There is no one, like a signal, maybe only booking a demo, I guess, that will make you think that this company is ready right away. It's better to warm up your audience. Why? Because when we are talking about higher deals, and IBM is always about higher deals, you need to make aware of your solution all the buyer committee. You may have one person that is willing to chat or trying your products, but it's not usually this person making the final decision. And also, you know this like a psychological factors that our brain tends to trust those companies that we see some level of familiarity with. When we at least watched noticed this logo somewhere, or visited their webinars, or I know your name and surname because we are connecting on LinkedIn, and from time to time I'm seeing your posts. And that's something that can help us speed up our sales cycle later, after even the first demo. So please don't neglect this factor. And for me, I'm very data-driven person. It's always about math, I think.
Okay, cool. Let's go. Let's continue.
Yeah. Data quality, that's understandable. So you need to keep your CRM clean, especially if we are talking about key accounts. Please update your buyer committee, at least I think 1 per 3 months or 1 per 6 months, because people are moving from company to company, and you need to have all the buyer committee in the loop. Sales and marketing alignment, that's my favorite ones. And also the last one is incorrect balance between budget, tactics, and goals. For example, we decided to go with one-to-one, but we have a 5K budget and want to have a Disney as our clients. Of course, it shows us that there is kind of imbalance in the thing, and vice versa. Also, if we are going broad, you are investing some budgets, some big budgets, let it be, it also can create some imbalance, because it's better to reallocate this budget, for example, for smaller groups to achieve a higher conversion. Yes, let's move on. There is some just stat I gathered about ABM, some proofs why it can be included into your strategy. And ABM, from what I researched, is one of the strategies that shows proven ROI and higher ROI, rather than other marketing investments, but only when it's doing right. And also one more thing that you need to know about IBM, it's not the strategies that can show you ROI in 3 months or in 6 months. Usually it's about long sales cycles. So ROI, you will see at first signs, I think in 6-9 months as minimum, but of course it depends of the type of the product. And also it depends on your sales cycle lengths. Let me drink water. So there are some kind of problems, what I noticed, what bring SaaS teams to IBM. First is low lead to pipeline conversion, especially for product-led growth, when, for example, you have a lot of free users in your product, but for some reason they are not converting, or they are not converting as much as you want. Another is long and unpredictable sales cycle. That's more the problem, I think, of sales-led growth companies, or enterprise sales, where you have very complex buying process, or, for example, you have a product that is not easy to explain the value because it's a very, I don't know, tacky, right? And your decision maker CEO is not as tacky as your user, for example. IBM is a good fit for this case because you can do the personalized edu content for your buyer committee and talk on their language. Also, number 3, it's a small deal as a low expansion. Also, product-led growth common problem when you have average client value, for example, 5K, but you had some enterprise clients, but only 2 of them. And what you want to do is to replicate same like a strategies that you've done for this company, or in general you have a market expansion. This IBM also is a good fit, and it also relates to point number 4. Number 5, be very careful with the thing when you see that old approaches doesn't work. From what I've seen, old approaches is usually inbound channel. We all are observing some decrease in incoming requests to our websites, and we remember the time when everyone decided, okay, from now we are investing everything in outbound. And for some period of time it worked well until different companies, they are started worked with volumes a lot, achieve a good level of personalization. Market is becoming more competitive during different economic factors as well. And many companies think that ABM is something that will be, you know, like a magic stick that will solve your problem. Be very careful with it. That's why we'll have a readiness ABM check today to make an overview when account-based marketing strategy is the right fit for you, because it's not always like this. And last 2 are about limited total addressable market. If you are a SaaS tool that you're operating in the very narrow niche and narrow vertical, account-based marketing should be, you know, like a must, I think, for your case, because you used to, for example, work with traditional marketing approach. I wouldn't say it's generic, or because it's anyway suited to vertical, but you need to understand that your core audience email boxes are overcrowded with maybe similar messages, right? And it's about a bit higher to get their intention. And the worst thing you can do is to burn out your database if you're just starting bombing them or showing irrelevant content. So for sure you need to work, I think, to keep afloat a bit deeper with the buyer committee to reach your audience, because now it's a bit harder than it used to be before. And the last pain that I'm hearing, marketing and sales misalignment. I wouldn't say that ABM is like a pill for this, but it's integral component of ABM strategy in general. Okay, it was some theoretical part, but I want to keep us aligned on what I mean by ABM and different problems around it. Now let's dive into CLG and PLG and understand how IBM works in practice. Let's start, I think, from SLG motion. In sales-led company, in general, the funnel is straightforward in Scenery. So you find the accounts, you engage with them, then marketing handovers this lead to your sales team. You do the sales and you're closing the contract. The biggest problem that is here, and it's not even sales-led company is not always the product ones, right? So we have here a lot of similarities with standard account-based marketing, right? And the most common mistake is that marketing responsibilities stops at the top. So for example, they are generating lead, and then only then sales start to do some engagement. Coming back to sales and marketing alignment problem, that's something that ABM should to fix. So in practice, it's more, and even, sorry, I forgot to mention, if we are talking about the full funnel, here we have an awareness stage, pipeline, and account expansion. The big problem is that sales-led growth company, they are more reactive in the bottom. So if we are talking about upsells, account-based marketing also can do some work here. Let's start one by one. So if we have SailG company, our main KPI, as we see, is a target account to engage account. Also, we can use here term account coverage if you want. Our main audience are key accounts where we haven't had any type of interactions previously, so they know zero about us, right? And we need to start from scratch. The main goal here is not to generate a lot of leads. The main goal here is to build a presence and relevance inside specific accounts before your sales team can come into play. In traditional SLG motion, marketing and sales teams, what they are doing, they're running broad campaigns, and as I mentioned, they had leads to sales. But the main problem that it causes is that most people inside your target accounts, they are not just, their first step is never filling out the form. Before that, they are doing some research quietly, right? They are reading some content. Maybe there is kind of word. They can know from their network what's the best vendor for this or the best product. So may rely on third-party opinions. And what we need to do here with our content, with our ads, we need to try to influence this pre-conversation stage. It's very important, and I know that a lot of teams, they are missing this. But judging by my own statistics, if we have, for example, in our agency, the client SLG product company, they have the biggest pain here in the new accounts acquisition. So they are quite good in pipeline acceleration and expansion, but the biggest problem I'm hearing is a new net account. They want bigger accounts. They want accounts that are able to upsell, and they want to shorten their sales cycle. But still, there are some tactics you can do for when the lead reaches a pipeline stage. For example, when that's an SQL, what you can do, you can run role-specific campaigns. You can run campaigns that shows your ROI evidence, different use cases that are directly relevant for this accounts specifically. You can interact with other buyer committees group. That's all that can help you speed up your sales cycle in general, because in sales-led growth company, we usually have higher checks, and that entails a longer sales cycle. And marketing can do here some work to support sales team. With account expansion, it works quite similar. But if you are able to track some in-product signals, please do. It's always a good sign for you that this account is ready for upselling. Also, you can additionally track whether there are any changes in buyer committee. Maybe, I don't know, your decision maker left the company and you have a new one and you need to introduce your product in the new way. It really depends, but it also matters. So just to sum up, I have here this slide. The main focus in your account-based strategy, if that sales-led growth company, is an acquisition stage. My personal recommendation is If you've never worked with account-based marketing before, start only with this stage and select the model or tactic, you can call it, that you want to start with. Pipeline acceleration and expansion can be a good part and should be if we are talking about account growth, but to economy your budget, we need to start with something locally, test, and then scale, right? So the best is it start at the top of the funnel. Here we have well-known one-to-many, one-to-few, one-to-one accounts, and you can see some types of ICP example on how it can look in each case and different tactics you can use. I don't provide you with a one-size-fits-all strategy because it really depends on your product. For example, I need to dedicate at least 3 weeks to understand what the product is, what's the nature of this industry, what's the user behavior, and only based on these, I can understand what kind of tactics are applicable. But here are some, like examples on how you can do this. Also, one more advice: start with one-to-many or one-to-few, or you can test a batch of leads with one-to-many approaches and one-to-few in parallel to understand in what case where you can see this kind of payoff in your budget. One-to-one is good to test once you went through one-to-many, one-to-few, and you see the results and you see the reason why you need to invest more money into one-to-one, because it's the most expensive approach, and why you need to narrow down. Sometimes, for example, in your case, 1,000 leads is enough to generate enough ROI and enough clients. And if you're going, for example, if you're narrowing your niche, you see that it doesn't work like it used to be. So quarterly testing, I think the key is for this case to identify what approach will be the best for you. If you have any questions, you can ask.
I have some questions here though. One-to-many, one-to-few, one-to-one. So you have 3 types of campaigns here: one-to-many, one-to-few, one-to-one. How many accounts would you put a one-to-few and one-to-many? How would you define this?
Yes, I also have this in one of my slides in the end. But
okay, then don't spill it. We'll get there.
Okay.
So like, in this case, you're focusing most on acquisition.
Yeah, for sales-led growth acquisition stage, because usually there might be a situation that at the pipeline stage, you may have, for example, I don't know, 50 active deals, right? But in product-led growth, we'll see the difference that here might be 1,000 or a couple of thousand deals, and it's like another case. So to sum up, what you need to start with is acquisition if you're a sales-led growth company, and that's something that is more similar to how traditional account-based marketing looks like. Yeah. Okay. Now let's talk about PLG company. So here, as you may see, here it is. Yeah. Here is, you may see the funnel starts differently because what's happening? Users find the product, activate this product on their own, and your product usage is spreading organically within all the organization. This motion is efficient and this is scalable. That's why we have this product-led growth model. But it has one weakness if we are talking about big contracts. The accounts with highest long-term revenue potential, they don't always find you through self-serve and don't always activate without your help and don't always expand without your help, right? And that's where account-based marketing can help you in a bit another way, but still we can discuss today what we can do with it.
Okay.
So in most PLG companies, if we are talking about the top of the funnel, it's usually driven by content, SEO, word of mouth, or I don't know, any types of product virality. That is efficient, and you see a lot of leads coming. But the thing is, it's a passive. And ABM at this stage is about making the top of this self-serve funnel more intentional. It doesn't mean that we need to replace your model. No, it works well. Just for other key accounts, we need to treat it a bit differently. So what you can do at the top of the funnel, this new account acquisition stage, you define a list of target accounts that based on your ICP fit and expansion potential, not like just a deal size, but also you need to understand what type of accounts can use different sub products of yours, that the problem you solve is active, that the team structure matches your typical like adoption pattern, and you have an opportunity to grow this account further. So what ABM is doing here is pretty similar to sales-led growth, is building awareness and relevance before they enter into this self-serve motion. So, for example, if you have a case, like a typical case I'm hearing, we have a myriad of clients, but we have 3 ones that are generating 80% of our pipeline. That's a good sign that why you need to consider ABM, even if you are PLG product and you may be scared of budgets. I will tell you today how you can still use some tactics, and that will be applicable for this specific case. So at the top, we are building relevance, and we are building awareness. What we can do here, we can run, for example, as actually in the sales-led growth industry level ads, or we can do ads per persona. We can use products like Influto, if you heard of them, and see some engagements there. And that's something that help us build this intent. But the sweetest thing about PLG, from my personal experience, is usually what we are doing in trainings. We are not starting only with acquisition stage as it was in sales-led growth company. We are starting from the middle of the funnel. I'm calling this stage like a free to first paid conversion, where we have this period where you have a free signups, and you try to do some product marketing stuff to make this client payable, right? So we are starting always with this stage. Of course, it doesn't mean that you cannot draft account-based marketing for acquisition, for a middle of the funnel and bottom of the funnel. But believe me, the biggest ROI and the fastest ROI you will see from like your middle of the funnel. Why? Because you have a good database accumulated. With this kind of signups, you know that these users, they know your company, know your brand. These trial accounts might be active, users are engagement, but the biggest problems now is that this kind of deals are stalled because maybe people are using this product to some extent, but these users are not those people who are controlling the budget. And you need like to build this bridge between decision maker at least and user to deliver the value of your product once again. Usually, this free to paid conversion in PLG it involves 2 main roles in buyer committees and 2 different conversations happening. So in parallel, it's a user role and decision-making roles. So with users, you need to deepen activation, drive adoption, and get them to this point where your product can start being like a viral in their company. But with economic budget, it's another story. You need to develop another type of content that will have some valuable insights, why this product worth upgrading to the paid plan, what kind of benefits you can see, and how it influences your ROI, how it can I don't know, enhance your operational part of the process, and so on. Also, something similar that we seen in sales-led growth, but that should be your main focus in building IBM. Also, if we are talking again about intent signals, for example, you don't have big budgets, start with your product signals. You have a lot of triggers when users wanted to unlock this feature, wanted to create one more seat, and or hit the limit. If you do again this kind of lead scoring, you can build it. By the way, if you're curious how to do this, you can use Clay for this. It works well. And you can also calculate the level of intent they have, how much times they clicked on this button and on this button, and you will see after that the formula. When, for example, this lead reaches the score of 100, that should be the sign for your sales team to be proactive. It shouldn't be for all companies. You can limit yourself just with I don't know, bigger companies or enterprise ones. It's okay, but that's something that can help you build account-based marketing experience and see a proven ROI. Circling back to new account acquisition, I forgot to mention that here you can go with a standard approach, understand who is your ideal customer profile for IBM, meaning the companies who can bring you a great revenue you want to achieve. But also here is a good way to work with intent signals campaign. I wouldn't say it will be a pure IBM, but still you can monitor some signals and make this experience with your product again proactive, not reactive. So you are showing them advertising specifically for their industry and welcoming them to use your product. Maybe propose them something that standard users cannot do, some coupons, discounts, extended free trials, and therefore you can let bigger accounts come in. As for expansion, I think it's understandable. Also, you can work here with the paid ads. But the content also will be another. You should talking about different benefit they can have on top to their current package, new product updates, maybe some features that can be available in the higher plans, and so on. And this kind of strategy can help you achieve higher average client value if we are talking about product-led growth companies. So to sum up, if we are talking about PLG case, the main focus should be in the middle of the funnel. If you want to work with acquisition stage and to make this budget friendly, start only with one-to-many approaches, unless you have very unique case with PLG companies that have 20K subscription. I'm not sure if such exists, maybe in B2B cases, by the way, for enterprise solutions. But in most cases, start with one-to-many, test and scale what works. For free to paid conversion and expansion, one-to-few approach. As you see, for product-led growth, one-to-one approach is not my recommendation, at least, because it doesn't work with estimated budgets usually. So when IBM is the right fit, some trigger conditions, just to sum up this difference that I was talking about. If we are talking about SLG, when to activate IBM, When you see that your pipeline quality is going down for some reasons, uh, let's disregard as for now some reasons inside the products, and let's think what marketers can do in this case. So you can work properly with your ICP definition. It's not ICP that is storing on your Excel file and you are, I don't know, showing it to your junior marketers. It's a separate account ICP for account-based marketing strategy that should be based on revenue factor first of all. Sales cycle longer. If you want to have if that's your goal, if that's your problem, as I mentioned, ABM can solve it with interacting with buyer committee group and providing different proofs that might handle some objections at the very beginning. Also, here is like when best customers are not in your pipeline, sales and marketing misalignment, all of these factors also can be solved with help of proper account-based marketing strategy. If we're talking about PLG, as I mentioned, we have this kind of self-serve plateau problem where there are a lot of free trials and you're okay with brand awareness, but for some reasons, users are not subscribing to your paid plan. Also, enterprise deals, it's important for you to have at least a couple of them to provide other enterprise accounts proofs that you work with similar companies. And I want to highlight once again that account-based marketing is not creating for closing enterprise deals if you haven't worked with them. Never. It doesn't work like this. It's a very strategic and logical approach based on your expertise with the market and experience. And also champion stack, it's again, if you are just working with one users and don't know the all buyer committee group, and that's something that can be like a blocker for you if you are not reaching out to other stakeholders. And multi-thread team and separate plans is also like for this. So you need to cover your key accounts with like all the buyer committee group. We'll be talking about this again and again. So the final part, how to design and build. I will dive into some parties to some extent. Of course, it's hard to educate all of the, I don't know, account-based marketing strategy, building mastery in what do you have, 10 minutes? But I will just highlight some moments that might be interesting for SaaS businesses and something out of basics. So first of all, readiness check. You can, I don't know, screenshot your file for this file for the future to understand when IBM is a good thing to do inside your company. First of all, as for ICP definition, you need to have evidence-based and testable database. If you don't have enterprise accounts in your portfolio, you don't go there. It should be historical data. You need quick advice what you can do. We'll talk about this also in ICP section, but you can take from your CRM and customer-based last, 50 customers that have average client value 20 plus K, for example, and try to find some moments, forget these words, some patterns, repetitive patterns, and this can help you build this ICB profile. So please don't go dark. Average client value, 15K is minimum, and that's also what most sources suggest from my research. But for product-led growth, I would say if you have around 10K or 5K is minimum, you can also work with some ABM tactics. As I mentioned, you can concentrate your attention around middle of the funnel and do some list of the companies and start doing ABM. It doesn't mean that you need to have only this amount, because you can work with account-based marketing tactics locally. Sales and marketing need to have a willingness to work together, share their data and updates. And also you need to have a patience for 6-12 months to see whether it's works, because many companies want to see the results after 3 months. You will see the results, but it will be only the engagement phase, I think. So you might have even MQLs, but usually XQLs are coming a bit later, especially if the motion starts from acquisition. And of course, you need to set the right goals for ABM. These kind of goals need to be easy to measure. You need to have these formulas, benchmarks, and timeline when you want to recalculate them, whether you're going into the right direction. Buyer committee, very boring part. I just want to highlight that for sales-led growth, usually we have bigger companies, and you need to work with all buyer committee group. For product-led growth company, you also need to work with all, but the most important roles are your user. It might be the internal champion, and that's a decision maker that sometimes this role can be hard to get conversation with usually. Main channels in IBM. There are different of them: paid, owned, direct, partner and community. Also, I don't have a golden key about the right combinations, but you can see here some suggestions about what kind of tactics you can use at each stage. And also, if we are talking about account-based marketing, please pay attention into paid ads. In my case, in my experience, that the channel that we are using usually for all stages, especially if you're able to track some engagement, who are clicking on your ads, who are reviewing your ads, and also who want to click the button to book a call with you. If we are talking budget ranges, okay, I have it here in the end. Okay, as for budget ranges, usually you can see some basic ones, but also they are depending from case to case. Again, I took this information from accumulated. I will ask you how I've done this. I decided to accumulate with Claude different sources, what they are talking about average budgets for ABMs, and he provided me with this kind of data. I would say that's something that is pretty similar with benchmarks that we have, for example, when we are allocating the budget. But in my humble opinion, I'm disagreeing that you can run like a one-to-one for PLG. But I don't know, there might be different marketers, and different opinions. As for the technology stack, it also, I think, should be another webinar topics. I will tell you about my favorite ones. It's Influ2. It's, I think, Clay. Also, currently, we are exploring then IBM tool. Also, we are using Get Sales, as far as I remember. I think that's our core tech stack. As for product signals, we are at the stage of exploring the best tool for it, but they are usually quite expensive. So our tech team are doing all of these product signals visible, not manually, but with help of different API integrations, webhooks, and inside the Clay, some magic they are doing here. So you're also able to do this even if your budget doesn't allow you to purchase a subscription. You need to try to do this with your tech team. I think, oh, sorry. For some reason, they are mixed. Okay, I think I'm done here. So yeah, that was my last slide.
All right, cool. Thank you for the presentation. Um, the question. Okay, so if you're talking about inflow tool, so that's like contact level advertising. Do you have any cases of using contact level advertising and
Yeah.
and seeing it work?
Yes, but it usually it need to takes time. Anyway, that's a paid ads channel that works as accumulating effect, because if you don't know the brand, you need to see this advertising at least I don't know 10 times to keep it in your brain, right? But for different products, the story might be different. For example, for one of the current projects, we set the benchmark that the persona need to view our, by the way, it's not just one banner, we understand that it's like a different banner. They need to see the content at least 15 times to move on at the next stage. And I know that it's not like uh, influencer promotion, but what I'm hearing from last updates, they are able to change the logic when, for example, one of your leads reads the stage that when they watched, reviewed this banner 15 times, and then the next stage we are showing them another banner. Therefore, you can build also this kind of ads funnel conversion logic. For example, first banners are for awareness stage. Then when we have assumptions that leads is aware, we can do more like direct banner ads about how you can use this or this feature, also inviting them to sign up and so on. So it's very interesting. You need to also to play around with it. And I know besides Influ tools, there are also other tools that are doing this as well.
Contact level, primer.
Sorry? Oh, you mentioned this.
Yeah, contact level, primer. Yeah, I've used them. They're cheaper. Plus, I think you need less data for at least contact level. I had a webinar with them 2 months ago. They need way less data for to deploy a custom audience. So I would anyone who's considering doing contact level advertising, it's a well, its tech stack is lighter with contact level. Very cool. Very good. Thank you so much for the presentation. Thank you so much, Victoria, for being here. Guys, if you want to connect with Victoria, get the presentation. Feel free to reach out to me or Victoria, and then you'll get the presentation. Again, thank you so much for being here. And let's maybe recap. Let's maybe do part two later in the year in Q4, maybe. What do you think?
Yes, for sure, for sure.
Awesome. Pretty cool. Thank you so much. Have a great
Thank you
one.
for invitation. Yeah. Bye bye.